Welcome to Wellraiser Radio. I'm your host, Joshua Coburn, and with me, as always, is the madman, Shane Scala.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And super duper, Simon Sanborn.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, super duper.
I
Yeah, I
that.
feel
It's
super
kind of classy.
Super Simon.
Super Simon.
Super Simon.
Sounds weird, but that's okay.
It is. Today's guest is Colin Wayne. Many of you out there know him because of his 800 bajillion followers on the social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But what you may not know is he's also a Army veteran who was honorably discharged due to an injury in 2012, which is pretty awesome because he gets pretty in-depth on this episode about those injuries and his kind of recovery process. But against all of those odds, Colin Wayne is an international fitness model. He's been on the cover of I have it noted, with 50 magazine covers. 50 magazine covers.
Not 15.
No, 50 magazine covers and 30 book covers. I feel like if I go into the airport, I'm going to see him on every shelf.
You're either going to see Fabio or you're going to see him.
Oh, you're dating yourself. Fabio's like 85 at this point, isn't he?
Or it's like,
That's why it was funny.
when you get a new car, when you get a new car, you see him all over. Oh, I see him all over the place now that we know him.
Exactly. And we're like, Colin Wayne. Is that a Colin
He's
Wayne?
everywhere.
My wife will be like, hey, is that a Colin Wayne over there? We're like, yeah, it's totally. Anyway. So we cover all that great stuff. And we also learned a lot of great things about business and entrepreneurship and all kinds of crazy stuff because this dude is friggin' driven. So tune in to this episode of Wellraiser Radio with Colin Wayne right now. Colin Wayne, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on Wellraiser Radio.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, you just mentioned off air a moment ago that you're still in Huntsville, Alabama, where you grew up, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. I'm actually right across the street from my high school. So.
Holy cow, that's pretty amazing. So
it is.
That said, I mean, it sounds like from what I've read and research, you had pretty much like an all-American childhood, right? I mean, would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it's pretty all-American. I mean, I grew up in a split home, but that's most of America. You know,
right.
My mom raised me. Dad was real busy working, and that's kind of motivated me to be as much of a fatherly figure as I can be. But to answer your question, yeah, I think that, just all around American guy. I, had a brother, had one sister, joined the military, and I had a pretty good childhood, so I can't complain at all.
Yeah, I mean, that said, I mean, you were like into the military young, right? I mean, I know you were in the ROTC and some of that, but you had like larger long-term aspirations in the military, right?
Absolutely. So I'll tell you kind of I was emancipated at 16, and I don't know if that's even public information. Well,
Wow.
I'm sure it's public with the courthouse. If you really wanted to do some digging, you could find it. But
We already knew.
I haven't posted or talked about it too much. But
Awesome.
yeah, I was emancipated at 16. And then a few days after my 17th birthday, I started the enlistment process into the United States Army. One of the biggest decisions for me was multiple reasons. One, I come from a long lineage of military history. Both of my grandparents served. One was an officer, one was in the Navy, retired, E009. And then my brother joined a few months prior to me wanting to enlist. And so he was always my role model growing up, my older brother. And then I never did good in high school. So I knew there was no way I was going to get a scholarship or even probably accepted into school at all.
Sure.
So I wanted to have a contingency, and so I knew the military would pay for it.
Right.
So yeah, I joined the military a few days after my 17th birthday, and a lot of that reason was so young because here I am 16 on my own legally, and I needed something to do. And I got kicked out of my mom's house because I wasn't listening to her. So I moved in with my dad, and like I mentioned at the beginning, he was kind of working all the time. So I decided that, I'm going to get my GED, and that's what I did, and join the military. And enlisted September 26th of 2006, and then served for almost 7 years.
Wow. Now, when you were in the military, you served as an MP. That was your MOS, correct?
Correct, yes.
And so first you wanted to get in and do ROTC. What was your driving influence on wanting to be an officer? And then what kind of pulled you away from being an officer and you just went the MP route?
Well, so I wasn't an officer. I was enlisted.
Right.
You have to have a college degree to be an officer. But I wanted to be a police officer. That was my goal. Like, I've always aspired to be in law enforcement of some capacity. Still to this day, I'd love to be a U.S. Marshal on the Fugitive Task Force and just hunt down fugitives across America. Like that would just be awesome. Kick indoors, and I think that would be amazing. Past that, I wanted to be a state trooper, or even Huntsville Police Department here where I live. And so I knew at 17, you know, I always wanted to be a cop, but at 17, you can't do that. You need to be 21. So I said, you know, let's get this under my resume and go ahead, and that way when I turn 21, I have a better looking resume than a lot of other guys because I do have some experience.
Sure. And
that was kind of my thinking as far as enlisting with that particular military occupational skill. I did pretty well on my ASVAB, so you know, I got offered a lot of different jobs, but I went into it thinking like, I just want to be an MP. You know, I don't care about being a UAV pilot. I don't care about, you know, being military intelligence or an engineer or communications or chemical. Like, I just want to be an MP, and I had that tunnel vision, and so that's what I did.
So, you know, you started out 16 years old, emancipated. You thought about ROTC. You became an MP. That to where you are now, right? You wanted to be a police officer, and now you're this social media icon, this huge presence on the internet, this fitness model. You're doing all these things. Between becoming an MP and wanting to serve your country and hoping that will springboard you into public service as a police officer, and you becoming what you are now, take us through what changed your life. What was that big catalyst that changed it for you?
Well, so I actually transitioned from being an MP to a recruiter. I was always a people person. And I enjoy interacting. You know, like I said, my dad is a workaholic. He's a salesman by heart. So I feel like that was a natural gift. It's something you don't have to be well educated to be a good salesman. So I transitioned into recruiting after I got back from my deployment in Afghanistan, where I got injured because I knew that it was non-deployable. And at that time, in 2012, my son was around, I think, a year old. So, you know, and my way of thinking was, okay, here's a job that now I don't have to go back to Iraq or Afghanistan in a couple years, and I can start building this foundation in something that I can also be passionate in. And so I transitioned to recruiting. After that, so I guess my transitional period was I left the military and opened my own sports nutrition company called Extreme Nutrition, and it was a franchise here in Huntsville. I feel like I'm an entrepreneur at heart, even though I'm young. I just turned 27 like Thursday, so a few days ago.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. And so I left a nice job, comfortable job, you know, nice salary, insurance, benefits. You know, spent almost 7 years. So like I was, you know, almost halfway to retirement, and I took a big leap of faith, started my own company, and long story short, it was only open about 10 months.
Ouch.
And we ended up shutting it down. I was in the red too much. Mm-hmm. But from those past experiences, I learned so much at a young age. What happened basically is the Gold's Gym, it shut down out of nowhere. It was open 20 plus years. Nobody saw it coming, even the general manager. All of a sudden, they got a lock on the door, And I was in that same shopping plaza about 3 doors down, and it killed my foot traffic. And you know, for any startup company, you're typically in the red for 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Well, you know, I didn't have a backer. You know, here I am, 23, 24. I was like 24 years old, and I'm just trying all I can to make it. And if I wouldn't take it back, you know, I took about an $80,000 hit, which doesn't seem like a lot to a lot of people, but to me, that was a lot of money. And but those learning experiences, you just can't take away from that.
Absolutely not. I mean, we talk a lot on the show about failing forward. We talk to a ton of entrepreneurs, a ton of people who are doing great things like you're doing, and almost always there's a massive obstacle like this. You know, I mean, $80,000. I don't care who you are. That's a bit of change, you know, that you're forking out. And, you know, the whole time you're forking that out, it's like next month it's going to be better. Next month it's going to be better.
Well, I'm still paying off the loans from it. And that was 3-4 years ago.
Right on. I mean, it's crazy.
Every month I'm paying it. Just the auto deduct, man. You just, I don't know.
Still getting that lesson, right? Still getting that lesson. No, I'm with you.
It doesn't bother me, man. It's on that auto draft, and just set it and forget it. And
don't have to look at it.
Well, hey, Colin, you talked a little bit about your dad being a workaholic, and I see lots of pictures of you and your son, and you talked a little bit about, or I'd heard in some interviews, you saying that it's been a big part of your life is making sure that you being a stronger aspect of your son's life. Has that driven a lot of what you've done since you got out of the military and started doing this new career?
Yeah, I think my biggest thing was, you know, knowing what kind of childhood I had growing up. And my dad, like, he's a big supporter. He's a big fan. He's probably going to watch or listen to this. And first off, I want to say that, you know, I love my dad, and I know that he's passionate about his career to a point where it kind of put a wall between his kids and us. And I'm probably the only one that really, truly would support him in any aspect today. Sure. And that goes, So, I don't know, man. That's I think with me, knowing how it felt to grow up without a dad, to a degree, like he was there, but he was kind of like hit or miss. Some weekends he'd just be too busy. I'd go months without seeing him. You know, I remember how that felt to me because I wanted my dad there growing up.
Sure.
And you know, to put that into perspective, I know that money isn't going to buy your kid's love. And yeah, I could buy Carson anything that he wants, but is that really, he needs me more than anything. And so I think just being a father is being there for them, not only financially, but in person.
Well, for sure. And I think that I'm a father. We're all dads here, I think. So, I mean, I can understand that, you know, we all have things we look back on like, I could have done that a little bit better. But I think it's what we do with our lives now, and knowing that your dad supports you now and does those things. I mean, that's what really matters is that in the end, he's backing you, he's there for you. And now you're taking the lessons that you learned from him. I learned from my dad, and you're applying them to you being a dad now too, which is fantastic. I mean, all we can do is grow and learn, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, your story is very similar to mine. Like, my dad wasn't around a lot. He was working, paying the bills. There's a lot of us. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, you know, and now I see myself kind of starting into that cycle. And I'm like, God, you can't do it. You got to be there. You got to take some time, at least when, you know, they want to go hang out, toss the ball around, you know, play basketball, drive the golf cart around town, whatever they want to do. That's what I got to be there for. So I follow 100%. I'm right there with you.
There is that fine line between, do I make myself solely happy? Do I do everything I can every single day so that I'm good? And if I'm good, which has been my motto, right? Mm-hmm. Take care of me first. If I'm good, then I can be good for everybody else. But if I'm not taking care of my basic needs and I am struggling and I'm stressed, then that permeates through all my different relationships. The neat thing about what you've done, Colin, is, you know, you've realized that your relationship with your father, looking back on what you wished your father would have been more part of your life, spent more time with you, your current lifestyle, the way you have marketed yourself so successfully through social media and have basically taken the bull by the horns and created this world, your own little
friggin'
world.
empire at this point. I mean, really, which we'll get to a little more of, but serious. I mean, there's like 85 businesses here, or maybe like 4, but something like that. We'll talk.
But you have created this atmosphere where you're in control of the time that you're able to spend with your kid, but you are involved with so many things. You don't have just one business. Like, what? List off just a few things that you're doing, because you have a steel company that makes different signs, customizable signs, which, by the way, I dig. I can totally feel. I used to do metal artwork and stuff.
Nice.
But your laser cutting metal sign got me really excited, because I'm like, oh my God,
It's getting weird.
all the different
It's getting a
options
little
that you
weird
can
over
do.
here.
Like you and I, we could talk about metal stuff pretty much for an hour.
But you know what's
forget
crazy,
everything else.
man? Is a year ago, I wouldn't have a clue about anything. So we could not sit and talk over a year ago. 'Cause I'm going to tell you exactly how I got started into Redline Steel. And it's for any entrepreneur listening, I would perk your ears to this. So basically, I love just business and all the aspects, entrepreneurship as a whole. I did some consulting with the local company, and I liked it a lot. I reached out to him initially because I wanted to buy a piece for my son. And it was a custom baseball piece. It was like 2 or 3 layers, really nice paint. It had this kid's name in it, and I could just vision it. Like, this would go perfect in Carson's room. And I reached out to him and I said, hey, I'm Colin. I'd love to purchase one of your signs. And he said, no problem. I'm backed up about 6 weeks. Shoot me an email with what you're wanting, and we can go ahead and get started, but just no manufacturer lead times. We're backdated. I said, okay, no problem. About an hour later, because that was all through Facebook messaging, everything through social media now. So
Sure, yeah.
He messaged me back, and we weren't friends, so it went to his other account. But anyway, so he messaged me back and said, holy shit, this is Colin Wayne. I didn't realize that was you. I'll get this done for you ASAP. And he said, I would love to be at your level one day. And that sparked something in my head. And I met up with him like 3 days later. And I didn't have a clue who he was. We didn't have any common friends. And I said, all right, look, I know what I can bring to the table. I want you to talk about your business plan. What's your 5-year, or what's your 12-month terms, 5-year terms? Like, where do you want to be? Like, how are you scaling your company? If you already have 6-week lead times on manufacturing, you must be killing it in sales, or you're just not working and lazy. I want to know what's going on. And so, we started digging pretty deep, and got his kind of a general consensus of the way operations work, because I didn't have a clue what any of this was.
Right.
He was operating a CNC plasma, Dynatorch. And so I learned so much in the matter of probably 3 weeks from this. We went back and forth. Long story short, I made him a deal. I wanted 51% of his company, and I put terms on it. So before you hear me out, before you're like, oh shit, you're going to try to take over his company. I said, all right, because I had his P&L, and I knew what he did for the year prior. And I said, look, this is what I want to do. I'll take 51% of your company. I'm going to scale this into a monster. Now, I'm going to put these set terms. In 12 months' time of me taking over, if I don't do 6 times what you did in 2015, I'm going to give you back your company in its entirety.
Awesome.
And that's a statement. Long story short, he agreed. And I had my attorney draw up all the paperwork, invested, well over $1,000 into legal fees and getting everything situated. We go to the signing, doesn't show up. And ended up backing out. And so I called him, and we had about an hour conversation, and he was just afraid to move forward. And we still talk to this day, so there's no resentment at all.
Awesome.
And I told him, look, I'm buying a table tomorrow, and I'm going to be your competitor. But there's plenty of space out there for everybody, and sure. I don't worry about any competition at all, because my only competition is myself. And so that's how I started, man. Is I didn't have a clue about this, but I saw the potential. I saw that you could basically, with any type of steel CNC, it's limitless potential when you come to art. I mean, benches, you can make fire pits, you can make wall art. I mean, anybody that owns a home would potentially want your product at the end of the day. So here I am, this guy in the fitness industry that didn't have a clue. I'm just, here I am, full-time Army, and then transition to trying to be in the fitness. And then
trying to be like 8 zillion magazine covers later. I'm just trying to get into this, trying to dip my toes in there.
That didn't pay the bills, man.
Well, I can understand that. I mean, being on covers and letting everybody know you doesn't put money in your back pocket necessarily, for sure.
It's credibility, though, at the end of the day.
Oh, I know all about that, for sure.
Yeah.
I look pretty sometimes, too.
But that's how I started Redline, was just a huge leap of faith. I started this in November of 2015, and here we are less than a year ago. We're debt-free, in the green, and well over 6 figures, and so it's doing pretty well.
Awesome.
Let me jump in and say, so I think I'm an average mentally capable person, but what gives you the I don't think I have the wherewithal to say, hey, what's this about? And then say, oh, you know what? I'm going to do it on my own. So, I mean, does that go back to that entrepreneur, dad, salesmanship kind of gig?
It really does.
I mean, is that what it's all about? Because that's what it sounds like.
Well, that, and like, I'm not afraid of failure. I know that I'm fully capable of taking on anything, and it doesn't matter what it entails. I'm just not afraid to jump in with both feet. In worst case, I don't swim, but I'm going to crawl my way out of it, and I'm going to go on to something else.
Right. Well, that's good. I mean, again, you've learned the lesson that, like, what's the worst that can happen? You're gonna set it and forget it in the bank account. Exactly. And money comes and goes. Right.
I'll tell you what. After a bomb goes off in front of you and you survive it,
right?
Yeah.
There might not be that many things that are too intimidating after that. After surviving.
Yeah, you know what?
Like
if we may, can we go back to that just real quick? And
sure.
I'm curious about kind of the recovery process, because like I go to schools and I speak to kids all the time about anxiety, about depression, about digging out of those kind of tough moments, and I had them. I was there, but I wasn't working through physical injuries. I wasn't battling the fact that maybe a potential career that I really wanted to do is now over. Like that was your fight. How in the hell did you get through it mentally? I mean, how did you beat that?
Yeah, I did a few deployments. My first deployment was in Egypt, Operation Bright Star in Cairo West, Egypt. That was in 2008. And then I went to Iraq in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2009 to 2010 and did about 120 combat missions there. And then, I came back from Iraq, had some PTSD issues, anxiety, depression, some issues with just coping with civilian life per se. Go to a restaurant and always feel secluded. I don't know. There was a big integration process that took place that I feel like the military as a whole needs to work on a little bit better. I mean, here you are at war one day, getting shot at, and then the next, 5 days later, you're literally doing whatever, driving back in the United States or going to a club or coping with, alcohol to get over whatever, and it's very challenging for a lot of soldiers.
Totally. Yeah.
And then Afghanistan, I had a little bit of harder time. I actually deployed as a DoD contractor. So on this deployment, I was in support of the military, but I was a DoD contractor in support of CRAM, counter rocket artillery mortar. So I was on a really small base in the Paktika province in right on the border of Pakistan and Afghanistan. And I got in country like January 3rd of 2012. And I was supposed to be there a year. And halfway through my deployment, I was working out in a gym, and a 107 millimeter rocket impacted about 3.5 feet from me. And through the grace of God, I'm still here.
That's
and
intense.
I got medevaced twice. My first medevac was to FOB OE, Oregon East, which was about 3 FOBs away. And they medevac me via Black Hawk, and then spent 2 days there. My O2 levels, oxygen levels, were depleted. Even with oxygen, I was only about 90%. So they thought I had internal bleeding. And they rushed me to a bigger hospital in Bagram and spent 4 days there. And then May 10th, flew back to the United States and did 6 months of physical therapy. I sustained L1 through L3 nerve damage in my back, TBI, traumatic brain injury, L1 or tinnitus in my left ear, and then shrapnel to both arms, and then a big piece of shrapnel went all the way through my leg. So then I went to about 5 different doctors when I got back for different practices. So, but yeah, I mean, I just wanted to get back in the gym, even though I was in the gym when I got blown up. So like I tell people, like the gym almost killed me, but it's also saved my life, because mentally there's so much it does so much for you when you can have that release from the gym. And you know, I don't know. I feel like fitness as a whole has just really changed my perspective on just everything. And it's been an inner peace for me.
Sure. I mean, I can certainly relate to that. Not that, I mean, I'm not some crazy fitness nut. I wish I were better, but my wife competes. So, you know, she's a figure competitor. And of course, that kind of rolls over. So don't think I haven't completely stocked your website and all your meal prep, et cetera, because I have. So expect me to be huge and completely ripped here in the next 6 months.
I got you.
Hopefully. Is there a hashtag? Is it like hashtag Colin Wayne Fitness or something like that? I need to start nailing if I hook that up, because I feel like I should. But yeah, because you need 2 more followers from me. But no, I get you. Like aligning your mental with the physical, man, is such a huge thing. So, you know, not that I'm recovering from some, you know, rocket attack by any means, but my God, if it doesn't help me get over my stress from the crappy day or the crappy morning or my cold coffee or whatever the hell I'm bitching about, you know? So it's pretty amazing to hear that that's really what kind of pulled you out. I mean, over that 6 months, I mean, was your physical therapy regimen kind of part of that, part of the like fitness gym thoughts?
Man, it was kind of, I was more or less depressed because I didn't get to go to the gym. So it was like I spent like 3.5, 4 months, and I was on crutches. You know, I couldn't straighten my right leg out enough because it's literally entrance exit wound, and the exit wound's, I don't know, 3 inches. It just mentally put a toll, because it's like, here you are walking around with crutches. You're depending on certain people for a while. And I'm very independent. I don't, you know, my first words as a toddler was, I'll do it myself. And that's literally, that was my first statement ever. And that was my hardest thing, man, out of all of this, was mentally not being able to rely on myself for everything and not being able to do what I want to do. And what I wanted to do was, you know, go and train, because that's something I'm passionate about. So
it was just the drive for something more, the
right.
Knowing that if I complete the next step or the next 10 steps, I hit the gym and I can start mentally repairing the damage done. Is that kind of where you were at?
Right. Yes.
Awesome.
Now, Colin, can you talk to us a little bit about, there's people that I work with, the other job that I have, I work with a lot of vets. I'm a vet. But luckily for me, I got out before I was in and out during this small window of zero confrontation. But a lot of the guys that I work with have very similar stories. You know, you've talked about how it's surprising to you that you could get out of the military, and the way they help you transition to being a civilian, they probably need to work on a little bit. I think that's a really nice way of saying that.
Yeah, the integrating process for vets. That's a kind way of saying, seriously, get your crap
together.
Even
want to start on the VA.
Understood.
Well, I've always felt that Mission 22, you know, the Wounded Warrior Project, I think those programs are amazing. But it's always frustrated me quite a bit thinking that, why do we have to have all these small private groups that are trying to help vets when if you're going to send them off to war, then make sure they have everything they need when they get back. So it's always been kind of a pet peeve of mine.
And I was talking about this before the podcast started about it. We've had conflicts, we've had war, we've had engagements for so long, since the beginning of the history of the United States. The idea that PTSD is a new thing and how do we handle this new thing, to me, is a little bit ridiculous. PTSD is just a new way of saying shell-shocked. And, soldiers have been dealing with this for a long time. So it bothers me that the military hasn't had something in place to help their returning soldiers deal with some of the trauma that they're going to see. We were trained, you and I, to engage an enemy and follow orders and don't disobey the order. You just follow it blindly, basically, because if I'm taking care of my one order, I have to trust that that's just one small piece of a larger plan, and I have to trust that all these other people are going to be following their particular orders, and they're going to achieve their part of the plan. So I just got to do it, whether I think it makes sense or not. Mm-hmm. So to come back as a civilian with a very short window of, let me help you out, let me train you, let me help you with this transition, it's so poor. It's such a poor excuse to say, well, it's PTSD. This is a brand new thing.
Well, and it doesn't hit you just like that, and it's basically like a check the box. The military as a whole says, do you feel good? Like, how do you feel? Do you feel like you're depressed? Do you have, and of course, if you say yes, just like I said when I was a recruiter, your enlistment stops. So no is numerous opportunities. Yes is your enlistment stops. So everybody and their mom's going to check, no, I'm fine. I'm doing just fine, because a lot of guys are alpha males. They don't want to think that there is a problem.
Right.
And you know what? Until it does take time. Nothing's going to happen overnight that's going to spark something. But I'm telling you, anybody that has experienced some form of combat, it may not even be them that realizes it. But when they come back, my mom was the first person that said, Colin, you're not the same. Something's different. Right. And then that kind of got me to soul search. Okay, like, I feel fine, What makes this any different than how I was before? And then you start to analyze a little bit more and start thinking on, how am I acting different? And it doesn't happen like I said, day one. It could be weeks, it could be months down the road until you really realize that, hey, I do have a problem.
Well, you talk about a particular situation where you were in the gym and somebody had dropped the weights and you dropped down as if somebody was shooting.
Oh, yeah, all the time. Yeah, I did. And that's, it's gotten better, a lot better. If somebody slammed a door, if somebody jumped out, like I almost got arrested when I I got back from Iraq in 2010, and this was in June. Okay, we went to a haunted house in Limestone County, and this guy, and this guy, so we're walking around this haunted. I think it was like an old prison, is what it was. Anyways, he touched me, and it totally caught me off guard, because and I don't think they're supposed to touch people. And so I guess I got a little bit lucky, but I almost got an assault charge because I turned around and punched him in his face. And it wasn't intentional, but he just scared me. And,
That's what you're trying to do.
And that was like 4 months after I'd gotten back from Iraq. But it was easily startled, that was just one of the main things. And like, it's been several years since I've been overseas. It's gotten a lot better. And now I know, like, okay, I'm in a gym, no big deal. If it happens, I don't even think about it. The biggest thing that I notice now is like probably like around the 4th, not necessarily the 4th of July, because I already know mentally, okay, this day everybody's shooting fireworks, no big deal. I already know that. But the days prior and leading up to it, that's when there's issues, because I don't mentally think like, okay, somebody's going to be shooting fireworks today. It's not the 4th.
Right.
Like, and it's little things like that.
That makes a lot of sense.
That still get to me a little bit.
So. Well, and to your point, Shane, I think that, and also, huge kudos to you, Colin, for being able to talk about this freely. You mentioned that, the guys that are coming back, they're alpha males. They don't want to talk about this much, but there's awareness that needs to happen. Otherwise, there's not going to be any change as well. And also, this, puts you in a position of not being an alpha male, of stating, look, this sucks. It happened. I got through it. Here's what I can do to help you get through it. And I think that's huge and something to definitely note. But you're also working on a documentary as it relates to this kind of thing. Is that correct?
We were. Me and Malka Media Productions based in New York. We had been toying around with the idea for a while. We didn't raise enough money for our campaign to move forward, so we ended up shutting it down. I think that it was... I was really excited about the project. I was really busy, so I was a little concerned about my time commitment to the film.
Sure.
But I was going to make it work no matter if I just didn't sleep. But to be honest, we didn't raise enough funding and it really shocked me. I thought that we'd get a lot more support, considering I've got close to 7 million followers across social media. So if everybody gave 1 penny, we would be fine.
Right.
But, it really just shocked me that the support system with this type of cause, it was something I was very, very passionate about. And, I was willing to invest my money and my time to make sure that this came to fruition. One thing that I am doing is I just did a USO celebrity tour to Jordan.
Awesome.
And that was awesome. And I'm on the waiting list to go to Afghanistan again. And if you guys know anybody, I'd love to make that happen. There's no guarantees with anything. I can't see a lot of people volunteer to go back overseas, but
sure.
I'm on the waiting list for that as well. So
that's great.
That's
USO.
just one way that I'm trying to get back to, because I know these troops, man. It gives them some type of hope. It lets them know that we didn't forget about them.
Absolutely.
And, it was when I was in Iraq, we had Tito Ortiz come out and. They did like a 45-day countdown, and they put his flyers up everywhere, and I was just super pumped. I'd followed him through UFC, and I wasn't a huge UFC fan, but I was like, hell yeah, somebody's coming to visit. Like, this is awesome.
Right.
And people may not know who I am if I go overseas, but they will, and we'll have some type of bond. And I'm a very personable person, and I feel like my accomplishments mean nothing, and I put my shoes on the same way everybody else does. So,
but part of that is that you're giving back.
Yes.
You're giving back, and people, are attracted to that kind of thing where you're giving back to people around you. You've been there, you understand what's going on, and knowing just somebody's coming to visit, no matter who that person is a great thing.
Yeah, somebody cares. That's major. That's what I hear most. I have a couple friends that have done USO stuff, and it's like just the fact that someone cares. That's such a big deal. I think that's awesome. I'm so pumped about it. I'm a little jealous. I'd totally do that. If you need somebody to stow away, let me know. I'll dive into that luggage.
I was going to say we could be your security, but that doesn't quite work very well.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. Sorry.
I'll put security. I got this.
Nice. Good answer.
Yeah, I was really interested too. I'm so sorry that the documentary funding didn't come through.
It's not the end. That was my first thought.
There you go.
This isn't the end. We're still talking about it. It's still a thing. It's real. It's living.
Hopefully through your followers and they can maybe hear this podcast or something, and we can somehow stoke that fire up, because the PTSD thing, being shell shocked, even though it's been around for a long time, the way that we're treating PTSD is changing dramatically. There's new MDMA trials that are happening. Just the different drugs that the anti-anxiety medication therapy. Me personally, I've never agreed with, let's just cut a soldier a check. Let me just cut you a check, and then there you go. I'm sorry you had a hard time in the military. There you go. There's some money for your hardships.
Good luck getting that.
Yeah. Well, some of the people I work with have told me the stories about, we're on our way back. If we just check this box, we get X amount saying that we're disabled, right? But the idea that there's so many different ways that we can be paying attention to this. And there's still conflict going on. There's still people overseas. There's still people getting hurt. There's still people dealing with PTSD, whether they're too proud to admit it, whether it's taking a while for it to set in and for them to realize, maybe it's their wife saying, I don't know if you know this, but you're kind of a dick, and you go from level 1 to 9 like that. Maybe you need to go talk to somebody. Just this awareness, just this being open, people listening to you saying, look at this guy. He's on the cover of all these fitness magazines. He's this huge social media person. He's got his stuff together, and he's still saying, I still struggle. It's okay to say, I struggle with these things. It's okay to say, I'm still hurting from something that happened months ago or a year ago or years ago. So I really hope that people are, they watch this, they listen to this, they listen and pay attention to your social media, and hopefully you can start up that funding again, because treating the people, taking care of our soldiers, male and female, who are able to sacrifice the time away from their families, the time away from a civilian life that we all enjoy, for them to do all that. And then when they come home, we say, deal with it. It just makes me so sad. It makes me so frustrated that we all don't pitch in and take more of a look, put this topic under a microscope just a little bit more, and say, this is a real thing. We can't just brush it aside. We can't just pay attention to the next ridiculous TV show. Let's take care of these soldiers.
Yep,
Agreed.
You're right. You're exactly right. And then they just force feed them medicine and say, drink water, drive on, take these 50 prescription pills, and you'll be fine. That doesn't work. We'll up the dose.
Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, kudos for you for, putting out there that, in your case, did the gym and fitness continue your recovery in the PTSD? I mean, is that still your best way to combat this?
Well, I think my best way to combat it is just staying so busy. Now being an entrepreneur, I own a few companies. I'm passionate and driven to wake up every day and go to work. And, I don't work for anybody else. No, I don't have to be there at 8 a.m, but, I wake up and I'm excited to go to work. And that's the honest to God truth. And I did a post on Facebook today, and I said, like this post if you're excited for your off days. And, I had several hundred people like the post, and I said, you need to reevaluate what job you're at, because that's the honest to God truth. If you're just excited every day for your off days, something's wrong. You should live every day to the fullest. There's more than just a 2-day weekend for everybody, and you should enjoy every moment.
Absolutely. Well stated.
Yeah.
Well stated.
Now, Colin, coming up for you in the future, is there anything that you would like to promote? I know you kind of struggle with promoting yourself, but is there anything big time that you'd like? You like that?
Yeah.
That was sarcasm.
I got it.
But is there any events that are coming up that you would like people to pay attention to? Do you think that possibly you would start up a new fundraising campaign for the documentary?
Or
if I were to do it again, I'd probably just self-fund everything, because I'm not going to have another failed GoFundMe. For me, it's a little embarrassing personally, because I felt like as a fan base, it's very loyal and they seem very supportive to the cause. To only hit, I think, like 35% funded, and that was just for the production, not post-production, because there's going to be a 2-part. I would just fund it all myself, to be honest. So the next event I have going on is I started a supplement company called Integrity Driven Nutrition.
Awesome.
And we'll be for the Olympia. We'll be having a big booth there in Las Vegas, September, I think it's 14th, 15th, 16th. So if anybody's in Vegas and they want to come out and meet me,
I would
I'll
love
be
to do
at
that.
the
I'm
expo.
a little. I'll be in Florida. I'll be just getting back from Florida at that time. But no joke, if I was not, I would be there shaking your hand in
Oh
person.
man, that would be awesome.
It's been killing me. I haven't went to any of those major fitness events because I have tons of people that I follow that I love. And I would
We'll
love
be at the
to
Arnold
shake
as
your hand.
well, and
Well, yeah.
in March. So that's another
Nice.
huge one.
Where's that at?
Columbus, Ohio, and
Little
first
closer.
weekend in March. So
Very nice.
Excellent.
Very nice.
Excellent.
So, and that was integrity driven, correct?
yes, integrity-driven nutrition. That's actually a new supplement company that I started earlier this year. We launched right at 2 months ago, and
Awesome.
it's doing extremely well. So my biggest thing was I was working with several other. Well, I've only worked with one supplement company, and that was Shreds. So if I can, I want to take you a step back on how this was a part of my transition out of the military. You know, as an entrepreneur, you're always looking for, okay, what's another way that I can monetize? For me, I reached out as a recruiter. You know, I was doing pretty well. I was like 23 as a staff sergeant, so one of the youngest staff sergeants in probably the Army, other than Special Forces and Rangers. Because I progressed, hit every rank literally like on the same month. That since I joined at 17, it was very easy for me to make that mark.
Awesome.
And I wanted to make extra money, and so I reached out to this supplement company. They were brand new, and I took some of their products, and I liked them. And long story short, I bought and sold 6 cases of Shreds through my Facebook page. I'd started my Facebook page about 30 days prior to that. It went viral for some reason. I don't know why. I guess the grace of God made it happen. And
great.
I had like 100,000 followers. But I bought and sold 6 cases of this fat burner. I grossed over $15,000 in sales in about 5 weeks. 2 weeks later, I flew down to the Arnold Classic. I met up with 3 large supplement companies. I turned down contract offers with them, and I ended up signing with another supplement company that'll go unmentioned. And I was with them for a few years, and I left for multiple reasons. There's 3 main reasons. One, I was giving 100% to a company that I wasn't a vested partner. And there's a lot of reasons why I don't agree with that. It did potentially, it did help me, but you know, with anything that you want to do, it has to have longevity. Mm-hmm. And if you could have your contract ended, you know, with a 30-day term, that's not longevity. And I have a family to support. I have to think long term. Where am I going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, generations to come? How am I going to be around to help my grandkids? You know, and I'm only 25, 26 thinking this out loud.
Right.
And but that's my honest to God, that's my way of thinking. So I reached out to a few other supplement companies after I quit there, and I wanted to work with them. You know, Jay Cutler, a big bodybuilder, worked with BPI and did his own Cutler Signature series. And there's a few others that had their own signature line through bigger companies. And I wanted to do the same thing. Reached out to a few big companies. They were receptive to doing it, but I didn't like their terms. I didn't like that I wasn't going to have, again, equity.
Uh-huh.
And there was several things, like they wanted to white label their own products and just put my own label on it. And I didn't like that. I wanted to control it. I wanted to control it from the inside and brand it the way that I saw fit.
Sure.
And so, you know, their vision didn't align with mine. And so I said, okay, enough's enough. Just like the red line thing, I'm doing it myself. I'll be a competitor. I don't care how many people are in this space. I'm just going to do it. And
That's
so
awesome.
I started this company about 8 weeks ago. This coming Friday will be 8 weeks. And we've done it pretty well. The company that I'll put this into perspective for you. And for anybody that wants to do some research, you can go out there and do it. Now I'm going to have to physically say the name of the company. So I was with Shreds, the supplement company.
Yep.
And I did in 3 weeks what they did their first year in revenue. So
Wow.
I'm pretty happy about that. And you know, sky's the limit, man. I feel like I'm building a foundation to what could be the biggest skyscraper in the fitness industry. And that's because I believe in myself.
And that's
And
how
I'm
it's
not
done.
afraid of any competition. So
Yeah, I mean, that's how it's done. First and foremost, that's how it's done. You didn't say, I would like to really make this a large building amongst the other competitors. You said, I'm going to make the tallest skyscraper.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know, and
he
that's
makes
huge.
me believe it.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Well, and I love that it's called integrity-driven nutrition. Like, that aligns with every single reason you started this, and that's pretty damned awesome.
I got to say, God bless the GED. That's all I got to say.
yes,
right?
exactly.
Pretty
And I don't
amazing.
have a degree.
But you know what? And I don't either. And see, I mean, entrepreneurism. That's where it is. It's really hard for me to tell people to go to college. And I speak at schools, and I probably cut my own throat here, but really, like, that's the truth, you know? You can do anything you want. It doesn't matter what you have behind you all the time.
You have to have that drive, though.
Totally.
I don't know if you can learn that drive.
That drive?
Like, some people have that drive. You were influenced, Colin, by your father in the military, and being emancipated at 16, you were like, I have to take care of myself.
Yes.
You had that drive of survival. And at all costs, you're going to survive. So how do you make your life the best, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Tim Ferriss was talking about people fail when they plan for when their whole point of life is planning on retirement.
Oh, Jesus.
They're
I can't even
planning
imagine
to
that.
start to live once they retire. That's a failed plan,
Totally.
you know? And right now, you're living your plan.
Yeah, I mean, the statement earlier, I mean, you said if you're not enjoying, 100% of your days, or you're working for the off days, man,
Exactly.
you better reevaluate.
Exactly.
I'll stand right behind that, man. I'm right there with you,
Yes,
for
sir.
sure. So we're kind of winding
not
down.
everybody wants to open their own business, and it's not for everybody. And as long as you're passionate about what you're doing, that's all that matters at the end of the day. If you're happy, and find that inner peace, because that's what life's about, is just finding that inner peace. And if you're passionate about coming off of work and you're happy with what you're doing, and you're in a job that you're excited to go to work for, and do it. Not everybody has the same aspirations to open your own company, and there's a lot of risk, but there's a lot of rewards as well. And you just have to balance that out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have a friend that's a janitor, and for me, I think, hell no. Loves it. Absolutely loves it. Plugs in his iPod, cranks up his music, and just kills it for 8 hours every day. He's like, hell yes, how could I not love it? Nobody bothers me. I kick ass at my job. And it's like, kudos to that dude. He's doing what he wants.
Yeah.
Like,
he's a success.
Exactly. And success is a smile, period. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
So we're kind of winding down a little bit, but I do have something we call the Fast Five.
Okay.
And it's 5 questions that we ask, pretty rapid fire, and we generally hope that you answer them kind of with whatever comes top of mind. You cool with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. All right, so leg day, love it or hate it?
Hate it.
Yes, God, I hate friggin' leg day. It's the worst. What about you guys? Leg day? No?
I'm a big leg day fan.
You just can't get away from leg day.
No, you can't
know
get
what I'm
away
saying?
from it, but-
You do leg day, and you kill it, and you feel that everywhere you go, because every time you take a step, you're reminded that you just did effing leg day.
True.
Right?
I'll go ahead and break the barriers down here. It's the friggin' toilet. It's the sit down. It's the, oh my God, why did I do this to myself? But then it's a stand up and look in the mirror and be like, that's why I did it.
That's right.
Right.
And
Yeah.
what's
Right.
better than deadlifts? Come on. Deadlifts are the best.
Speak for yourself, pal.
Unless you got nerve damage in your back.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
sorry.
Man, listen to
I'm,
that.
there
I'm
you
a
go.
jerk. My bad. Sorry, guys.
All right.
Doing. Just don't like it.
Old school Nikes or old school Converse?
More Nikes or Jordans, old school.
Ooh, I can't argue with that,
Old school Jordans.
Yeah, that's tough. They had a lot of colors. That's a win. Camaro or Corvette?
Corvette. Definitely the new ones, like the C7 Stingrays. Those are sick.
Damn, I had you pegged as a Camaro guy. I don't know why. That's just totally what I was thinking.
My wife is though. So
Really?
maybe half her
All
color.
right.
She had a
All right.
Camaro. And then we bought her a Mustang. So
Nice. Nice. All right, one piece of advice you wish you could give your 18-year-old self, or maybe 16-year-old self in your case, since you were fresh out of school.
Jeez. I honestly probably wouldn't give myself any advice, man, because I've learned so much that you can take those learning experiences and just adapt them to my future.
Sure.
Because if I were to change anything, I feel like it would change who I am right now. So I wouldn't give myself any advice.
Nice. That's one of the coolest answers I think we've got.
It's a first.
Yeah.
It's a first for sure.
We ask that every time because it's so varied. And yeah, that's kind of a win. Like for me, that says like, don't question it. Just freaking do. If you're feeling it, go for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And not being afraid to fail, accepting your failure, almost enjoying that because you're going to learn from it. If you can learn from it. There's some people that fail and they're like, fuck, and then they fail again and they don't learn anything from it and then they do it again. But looking at your life going, I loved it. I loved that. All these things had to happen because I love who I am right now.
Yeah, big win.
Well, and I also think too, what big part about that is finding the wherewithal to know that failing is part of the gig. If I could give myself one piece of advice, it would be like, just know you're gonna blow it all the time. but just keep trying.
Right.
If I had that piece of advice, that would go a long way for me.
Yeah. Expect to suck. That's the way I put it. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Can
hashtag expect to suck?
Yes, that is a new shirt. We are totally going to do expect to suck.
Accept the suck.
No, we will never do that, and don't say words like that again. So, okay, we have one more left before we go completely off the rails over here. Shane does anyway. Where can people find out what you're up to next, and what's new with integrity-driven Redline Steel? And are you still doing the modeling gig, or do you still do that at all?
Yes and no. So you guys can connect with me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. It's all Colin Wayne 1. Or you can just Google me. I'll pop up, Colin Wayne. As far as Redline Steel, I'm there. That's primarily where I'm at 6 to 7 days a week. Same with Integrity Driven. Now that's a new startup company. RedlineSteel.com is where you can check out some of my merchandise for my steel manufacturing company, as well as IntegrityDrivenNutrition.com. A company that's forged on putting integrity behind the line.
Awesome.
And also I have a subscription site, ColinWayne.com. You can check that out as well.
Straight up. Great. Good stuff.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I might have to put an order in for some metal artwork.
Really? See,
I love the powder coated with the United States and the flag.
Yeah, so you saw the U.S. That's one of my favorite pieces, to be honest.
There you go. See, we got a lot more in common than.
And so I'm all over here like protein powder. I need a new shake flavor and I need something good. And I let my wife kind of just dictate that to me because she does the fitness thing way more hardcore than I do. But now I'm going to come home and be like, Colin Wayne said I need integrity-driven nutrition. So
right. Exactly.
And is that deal still going on? You place an order and you get a shaker bottle?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so we do that across the board for everybody. If you enter IDN Colin at checkout, you'll receive a free shaker bottle. And it's not just any shaker bottle. These are Cyclone cups. So it's not some cheap shit from China.
Awesome.
We really, our slogan, and I'll show you on the back of my shirt, it says above the rest.
Awesome.
And literally that's what we strive for. And it's not a statement saying that we're better than anybody. It's a statement that we're saying we strive to be the best at what we are. And so little things like our shaker, so here's one of them, our pre-driven, and I know everybody can't see it, but we have these built-in funnels on the scoop, and nobody's doing that. So spending the extra money and doing anything extra, like giving back high quality. And then on top of that, we offer 100% money back guarantee. If you don't like your product for any reason, we won't ask any questions. I mean, I'd love to know what the issue was so then we can correct it. But we'll offer, money back guarantee without any questions asked. And I feel like that is integrity, is doing what's right when nobody's looking.
100%.
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
Colin, wonderful meeting you, sir.
Absolutely. Wish I was in the room with you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sometime.
Hey, Ohio is not very far away.
Yeah, we can all meet in Ohio.
We can just do a road trip right here, and we'll meet you in Ohio.
For sure. We were just talking about heading to Philly, so Chicago.
That's where Arnold is, in Columbus.
There you go.
Yeah, see? Let's do it. I don't see why not. See,
see why not.
we're putting it out there. So if we walk up, you're like,
It's out in the universe, man.
Yeah.
It's kind of attractive.
yeah. All right. So, you know, it was an absolute pleasure having you on here. We,
Yeah,
you know, we
likewise.
never know what to expect. And honestly, this was freaking great. I honestly
Fantastic.
learned a lot, and I took some notes. If you saw me scribbling, I wasn't actually ignoring you. I was taking friggin' notes. So, yeah, it friggin' rocked. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Colin. Have a good night.
Absolutely.
Have a good one, buddy.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Talk soon. So seriously, that was pretty much some all sorts of kick ass. I did legit take like a bunch of notes.
Yeah, that was really good because I mean, like anything else, you don't know somebody,
Right.
and so what I know him as is a very good-looking young man,
Handsome,
Handsome,
chiseled, chiseled.
a very chiseled fella. But I mean, it's good to know the depth of somebody. And I think that's one thing that this podcast does is it allows us to be able to kind of dig in and find to the root of who a person is. And I mean, I really appreciated him, digging into, he wasn't saying bad things about his dad, but he was saying that I wish things could have been a little bit different so I had a better connection, but it's made him a better dad.
Yeah,
and I
it's
would hope that
real.
we all learn from our parents. You know?
That if I could sum him up in a certain way, it would be
Paint with a broad brush, sir.
I'm going to paint.
Do it.
I'm just going
Do
to
it.
paint
Paint it.
Colin
Paint it.
Wayne
Paint it.
with a big brush. All you ladies out there, you're visualizing painting Colin
I'm
with a big
getting
brush.
sick.
Anyway, it would be any type of adversity, he's looking for that silver lining. How many people do you run into each and every day? They cannot see the fucking silver lining in anything.
Right.
And that's what I would give him. That's one of the biggest things. That's one of the neatest things about Colin that I got from him tonight. We all have adversity. We all can say, our parents fucked up this, that, or the other way. Yeah, they either ignored us growing
What's
up.
the other way? There's this, that, and the other way. What's the other way?
Other way.
Don't tell us.
There's jail time involved in the other way.
All right.
All right.
Hey, moving on.
But you can dwell on that. You can dwell on that, and you would be within your right to do so, right? But just meeting the guy, talking to him for an hour, listening to all the adversity that he went through, he looked at the silver lining. He grew from it,
Well, what
Steel
I think
sharpens
when you're,
steel.
I also think when you're low, I mean, you have to look up. I mean, you have to find a way to pick yourself up. And so I think that it's one of the, it has to be obviously an intrinsic thing with him and his personality, because it wasn't just one thing. I mean, I personally would have been weeping in a fetal position if I had lost $80,000 on something. Okay, that's just me though. And so the idea of
man.
hey, I'm still paying on it, but I'm pumping money in this next thing. I mean, that says something about his character and his integrity. So I like that apart.
It blows my mind, like the different things that we all take from it. Because like the entrepreneurial money loss thing, I am like genius at failed businesses. I've had like seven, like legit failed businesses. Awesome. But guess what? I'm successful now, so
Right.
I'm fine with that. And that's really what he gave us. But not only that, like his continued learning. Like I loved that he's like, I was emancipated at 16, didn't go to college. Got a GED, but then he's tossing out P&L, profit and loss, for those who are not aware. He's diversified his business because he's looking for the next place to make money. So, when the climate changes, there's money to be had in various areas. Like, that's businessman shit.
Right.
Like, that's real stuff.
That's what you would expect to hopefully learn in college.
Right.
And he didn't get that from college.
And the fact that, this is a dude who's shirtless on magazine covers. This is a dude who's, could be classified as a good old boy from Alabama. All the things that if you paint with a broad.
Possibly stereotypically.
Yes.
Not so smart.
Exactly.
Just a pretty face.
And he killed it. Like, look at him.
Yeah.
It's so, and again, with all the odds against him. Huge kudos to that gentleman.
I
for
had
sure.
a Blue Steel comment, and I didn't get a chance to. It would have taken away from the.
Yeah, because he was in it, and he kind of
and I like that too. I don't want to sound stupid. So.
Yeah, well,
Well,
I
you know
already
what?
did. I messed that up.
yeah,
no, it's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Sorry.
It's good. It's
There
good.
was one more very important thing that I thought kind of upped him a notch in my eyes. He introduced his wife.
Yeah, before the show.
Hey, you know what? It's not just all about me. I'd like you to meet my wife. Thank you, Colin.
Yeah,
she was
you
a
know what?
very pleasant woman.
I'll say that too. I'll follow
That was
that
very
up.
nice.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks for
it was
that and
great.
introducing to the dog. Like, really brought us into that circle for real, and that's what we're all about.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it was great.
So, gentlemen, I guess in summation of the show,
Nice word.
Is summation. Yeah.
Summation.
Look,
Very
I
nice.
read things. I read things, then I apply them sometimes to my own vocabulary. So,
It's getting better all the time. Good job.
right.
Sai,
Summation.
what's going on in your world? What's coming up with you?
Thanks. It's all right.
Well, yeah, just ignore Josh. He is the star.
Well, he was going to summation something.
No, it's fine. It was that. I was just going to do what you did. In summation, Sai, what do you have going on is what I was going to do. But it's okay. You took it from me, and it hurts, but we'll go.
Hey, just go to tpsmedia.co, and on there you can click on shows. You can see all the podcasts that we produce here. There's the Primal Scream podcast. There is the Bandwagon podcast. There is Jackie Fetter Live. There's some great podcasts on there. The one we like you to check out first, though, Wellraiser Radio. But that's one place to get to right there. You can also follow us on Facebook.
Right on.
Just keep laughing.
Well, I
it's exciting.
laugh because I enjoy.
Yeah.
I enjoy.
It's because he's creepy, too.
Yeah, it's kind of gross.
I am not
Kinda gross.
creepy. I don't
Yeah.
know why people say that. I'm not creepy. I don't think so.
Bald, tight shirts, something about it. I'm not sure yet.
Gorillas. He's not wearing pants on the table.
One of these days we'll do a what? Oh,
Nope, shirtless
It's not.
show.
It's a shirtless, not a pants.
Yeah. Yes, it's a shirtless show. Just to be clear, everyone, we will eventually do a shirtless show. And
No.
now that it's being
No
said,
shirtless shows.
yeah, it's
Maybe
being
we'll have
said on
Colin
air,
Wayne
so-
on next time. Colin can come into the studio.
There's no way I'm taking my shirt off and fall in front of Colin Wayne on this table.
Well, you got to get integrity driven.
I am integrity driven. That's why I'm not going to do it.
Oh,
I'm going to not lower myself to the before, after. It's not good. This is
you got
bad.
to uphold said
Yes,
integrity. I got
yes.
it. I got it.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
suppose.
Okay, so rabbit hole. Let's dig out.
Rabbit.
What's up? What do you got going?
Oh, at TPS Media, we're also doing the audiobooks. And we last time we talked, we were about to do
been a-
our big
Audition.
draw of
Right,
auditions,
right,
right?
right,
We had a
right.
huge turnout.
I wish I would have known about that. That's
Theater
fine.
Cedar Rapids. You can still come in at any time, Joshua.
Okay, good
and
to know.
give us a recording tidbit of your voice because I don't know what it sounds like, but
Got it.
yeah. But yeah, Theater Cedar Rapids killed it. We had a ton of very talented
50 plus people, I thought. Did
It
we
was
have
a-
like 50 plus people?
Yeah, it
was a long day,
And
or a
right
long
now
few
we
days.
have
That's
a good,
impressive.
we have a really good problem right now at TPS Media, which is too much work. We have so much work ahead of us. We have so many books, authors who have listened to the voiceover actors who came in and loved it. We have a guy who sounds like Mike Rowe.
Yeah, he's great.
Mike, I love your voice, and I generally love you. Don't be creeped. I'd love to have you on the show sometime.
Living
But
up to the
we
freaking
actually,
standard, though.
We actually have.
We came up with a term, which is hashtag hard creeper. If you're like beyond creepy, you're a hard creeper. Like you're straight up not even masking anymore. So this
I wonder why
may
I've been
apply.
so uncomfortable for so many years. Now
You know
I
what?
It's true.
I'm comfortable saying I love Mike Rowe. I think he's a wonderful
Yeah, it's
person.
awesome. Who doesn't like Mike Rowe?
Indeed.
And we have a guy who sounds just like Mike Rowe. So if you like the way Mike Rowe sounds, get a hold of tpsmedia.co and have my guy read your book. There you go.
You're a micro imposter.
My Mike Rowe impersonator.
You know what I'm going to say? He sounds like Mike Rowe because he has one of those voices that makes you feel like he has some integrity, he has some knowledge, some depth to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like Mike Rowe.
I gotcha.
He has the
I gotcha.
feel of Mike Rowe.
I just wanted
so.
to deflate his big smile there for a second. That's all. I mean, I just wanted
Can
him
you
to
do that?
understand. Like,
Can you
I don't
deflate
know.
this?
I can. I don't remember my cool quote shirt idea from earlier, so apparently it was pretty awesome. But that may be the win. Can you deflate this? Like,
Wow. Yeah.
that's pretty impressive. But anyway, what I got going on, joshuacoburn.com for those of you watching, and you can see it right, like roughly, like right in here.
There you go.
joshuacoburn.com. Check that out. The Relief and Resource Center, if you're struggling with any personal issues, hopefully our guests also give you some insight to anxiety, depression, PTSD, and anything else that's kind of happening. But again, the Relief and Resource Center at joshuacoburn.com.
Clam. There's a
Editing
clam.
going on
Com.
tonight for some reason.
Also, a new development, which is pretty exciting, is I'm bringing smiles to cities all over the Midwest right now, and hopefully the United States, which basically means I will hit the streets and make your life better. So if you want to bring me to your city, hit up my Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, whatever, Joshua Coburn, Google me, and you can vote on where I'll be next to bring smiles to your city, as well as it's the season, Manners of Motivation, Well-Raised across the nation, coming back to schools everywhere. So all that's happening. So lots of cool, exciting things going on. Anyway, here at Wellraiser Radio, there is
No judgment.
Just kindness.
right on. Thank you very much. I gotta say,
It's so goofy, and then I just lose my train of thought. I can't think straight.
Wait, who's goofy?